What's going on, everybody? Sean Pierce Johnson here for this week's edition of Stompbox Saturday, and welcome to part 2 of our in-depth look at the Pigtronix Keymaster. Now, in the last video, I showed you guys how valuable this pedal can be to a guitar player, whether it's in a pedal board or a guitar rig context. Well, today's going to be a little bit different. There's not going to be a whole lot of playing today. It's going to be more showing you just how incredibly flexible this thing is in the recording studio environment. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, how exactly is that going to be? Well, like I mentioned at the top of the last video, the input and output sections of this pedal are really where the magic is. Not only do you have stereo 1/4 inch inputs, TRS for those of us audio nerds out there, but microphone XLR ins and outs. So basically it allows you to connect any sort of audio device that you want and throw it into any sort of audio device that you want. But knowing the recording studio is a very volatile environment where everything from the way your walls are constructed to your electricity can affect how you get your sounds. And there's a lot to do with impedances of low and high signals, and I could go on for days and bore you guys to tears about this stuff. But the great thing about the Keymaster is it takes care of all those problems. Low impedance signals get converted to high impedance gets converted to low impedance, so on and so forth. Enough blabbing, let's check out what this thing can do. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how we can use the Keymaster to reamp a dry guitar signal. I'm going to plug my Strat directly into one of my preamps and just record a dry guitar track for you guys right now. Pretty simple. So now let's hook up the Keymaster and let's reamp this thing. So what I've got now is I'm taking that dry guitar track, going out of a mono output into the Keymaster, and then out of the send of loop B going into my orange rock reverb. So what we're going to do is take that dry guitar sound and you're going to hear it through the amplifier. So that's really handy because it allows you the ability to take a dry guitar track, say that you might have used as a reference track when you were doing demos, and then maybe you like that performance so much, but it's not going into anything. It's just dry, it's boring, it's bland. By taking the dry signal, putting it through the Keymaster and into an amplifier, it's like you were playing in the studio and you got that particular performance. Okay, so building on top of what we just did by reamping that dry guitar track, now we're going to use the Keymaster as a patch bay. Now, a patch bay basically will allow me to bring in outboard audio equipment. So I'm going to compress that guitar track using the compressor on my Avalon preamp. And I can even add some EQ to that if I want. Cool. I kind of dig the sound of that. So it's really cool to be able to use outboard equipment and go from just a dry guitar track, reamp that dry guitar track into a guitar amp, record that down, and then process it using your analog equipment rather than plugins. Patch bays are found in all the big time recording studios, and that allows them to be able to use all that fancy, awesome looking outboard gear that they have. And well, in my small home studio, I don't have one of those. So the Keymaster proves very valuable. And the cool thing is, because you can turn on and off each loop, you can A/B whether or not you like the result of your processing. So that's really handy. Well guys, your in-depth look at the Pigtronix Keymaster is all said and done. I hope now you guys have just a little bit of an idea of how valuable it can be to anybody, a guitar player, a bass player, a singer, a producer, a recording engineer, anybody that comes into contact with effects, guitar, bass, anything in the recording studio can find value in this box right here. Pigtronix really worked their magic and came up with a device that I consider to be one of the most valuable in my arsenal. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, Sean Pierce Johnson signing off. Happy stomping. Cheers.